Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully you can see my screen now, and I'll go to it, shout if anything's not working. Hopefully you can see my mouse moving and I'm in MetaGrid. So here I am in MetaGrid. And before I dive into the source libraries, I'm just going to do a quick recap of how our AI templates work, because they'll become important when we start to use the sources to create content. When you're in MetaGrid, we have our templates in here. So we have element templates and StageGate templates. We'll work in element templates. In this example, this is where most content is. So you can see the ones that are marked as AI assisted with the AI icon. Now, you can build templates that use AI and build templates that don't use AI. But a template is essentially a structure for an element in our grid where you want people to put knowledge content or tasks. You can put various content types in here. You can embed links, experts link to people, videos, tasks, and build up an element. When we say it's AI assisted, what we're doing is in each description here, I'm essentially adding a prompt for the AI so that when we use this template, it will take the title that we've given the element. It will insert it wherever it sees element name. So it would be, so say this was project brief, it would be purpose of project brief, no longer than 200 words. This is telling the AI what to put in each section. So on the video explainer, I could put something like write a video script that explains, and then I click this button here, and that puts in my placeholder, write a video script that explains element name, and it would be swap that out for project brief or whatever you put in the title. So we build these templates and then we can use them later on in grids to actually build knowledge into our grids. For the purposes of this one, I've built two templates which will do it in slightly different ways, but essentially it's going to tell us what this is, the thing that I put in the title, what inputs are, and the steps. And we'll show you how that is going to be grounded into a specific project methodology in the example. So we've talked a lot about grounding the data. So what does that mean? What do those sources look like? The way we've done this in MetaGrid is we've given you quite tight control over who can use the sources you've given MetaGrid. So in here, in the same place as the element templates, we now have AI sources. And in here, if we think of these as folders, similar to folders you'd have on Windows on your PC, and in these folders, I can put documents. Currently, you can upload a text file, a Word document, a PDF document, or you can indeed point it at a single web page. And what it'll do with the source grounding, it'll actually go and fetch that web page and then convert it into a document that it can then use for the purposes of that. So in here, I can organize sources that I want the AI to use when I'm working with the AI assistant to create knowledge. So let me show you just creating one. You just hit the plus. We've put them into libraries so that you can now control who has access to those sources. So if you want a source library with some confidential documents in it, you can do that. And I can then drill down and decide who's going to have access to that particular source library. So when that source library is done, people need access to the source library in order to add that source library for use in a grid. If they don't have access to the library, they can't see it and they can't use it in the grid and they can't use it with AI. So each time I create a new one, I'm given that option to set access control. I can give it a name, whichever I want. And then under here, I can now start adding files. So I can upload any file, like I said, PDF document or Word document, that will get uploaded and go in. If I want to do a web page, simply click web page, I put the URL in, give it a title, hit that, and I've got those sources in. So you can build up libraries of sources in whichever way you want and give access to those and see who's got access. As the libraries start to get used by grids, you can then see that here. So I can see this one, I've just added it. It's not in use by any grids, but here I can see these ones are in use by grids. It will list all the grids that have access to that source library and to the sources within it. If I want to start to remove documents, I just right click and delete. and it will permanently delete that source. If I want to get rid of the whole library again, I just right click and delete, and the library's gone. So for the purposes of this demonstration, I've made a bunch of source libraries, some using the APM benefits management PDF. I took some from the Teal book, the government's chapter on benefits management. At the main one we'll work from, we've taken the European Union's PM2, PM squared project management methodology, which is a giant PDF with the entire methodology in it. And we're going to ground the AI in that for it to write elements using the content in there. So grounded. I'll show you it when it does it grounded and when it does it non-grounded. So in here, you can see it's being used in one grid. So once you've created the source libraries, if I go to a grid now, so here I am in a grid, we now have an AI settings section. So in here, you need manage access to this grid. So again, I can set access at the grid level. If I've got manage access to the grid, I can control the AI settings. So in here, we're using AI settings not only to ground it in the documents in my source library, but also to give it some context and what tone and language to use. So actually, when we start to use the AI template, we'll be using prompts from the tone and language, prompt from the context, source grounding in documents, and the prompts that you saw that I put in the template itself, telling it how to write each section. It's going to combine all of that to generate the content for us. So I have already written in here. So I've given it, you can kind of write as much as you want in here and more verbose or less detail. But I've put in here, write in a formal business tone of voice in UK English, try to keep content short and concise, try to make the subject easy to understand for someone new to project management. So I'm telling the AI, this is how I want you to write. And then I'm giving it some context about this grid. You are a project management expert, and this is a project delivery methodology that is used to guide project managers through complex project delivery. The methodology follows the European Union's PM squared project management methodology. Again, I could put a lot more detail in there if I wanted to. Here, I'm now saying in this grid, I want people who are using this grid to have access to these libraries. So in this case, I probably don't want it to have access to my example file types. They're not useful. Everything else I put in there. So now, when I'm creating content in this grid, when it uses the AI, excuse me, it's going to use the tone, language, context, and these sources as the default, but I can then override it for each element if I want to get more specific. So I've now set that, that's now set in this grid. If I was to clone the grid, it would also bring those AI settings with it, so you don't have to set it up each time. So I'm going to go down here. I've set up some blank elements just to save a bit of time so we can go through it. So let me show you, first of all, the document it's grounded in. So back in the AI sources, we saw this document here. Here it is. It's a big PDF, 148-page PDF, PM squared, huge contents, lots of stuff in there. So it's going to put that up when it do. I'm going to go to page 99. Which tells it how to do an issue management plan. So in here, it's got a whole section on issue management. So I want to write an element about issue management plans. Here's my element. I've given it the title already. So I can apply element level settings as well, but it will actually ask me. So if I go into edit mode, select a starting point, I want to use an AI assisted template. So here we are. You can see it's using, you see it's not included the examples that I excluded from this grid, but it's saying, so you're in this grid, this is the default that I use when I create content in this grid. Now I can override that to change it specifically to this. So in here, I could then set a different tone and language if I wanted to. I could, if I wanted to, set a more precise context about issue management plans in here if I wanted to. And then crucially, I can say, well, I don't want it to use any of these. I want it to use this. This is the crucial bit of source grounding I want it to use. I want it to use this methodology when it writes the content in here. And then if I go down, I can select from the templates that we saw right at the beginning. So I'm going to select my PM2 template bulleted steps. So it's now going to go away. It's going to take the prompts in the template, the prompts here, and the document that it's grounded in to create that content. I'm going to select bulleted steps. I've changed it slightly between, there are certain steps in the management plan you'll see in that document. I'll do it once where it just puts them in as a numbered list. It could also create them as tasks if you wanted to. We'll do both. So I click on that and you'll see on the left, it will start to generate the content. So here we are. You'll see that it's brought in the areas from my template. It's now taken the prompts from those and it started to write the content. But crucially, if I go back and reference this to here, it's taken the knowledge it's found in here that it's grounded on and used that to create what this is. It's looked in the inputs and it's got project charter for a project work plan and used that in. Where I've asked it to list the steps, it's taken the steps from in here and interpreted them into here. It would have slightly changed the wording. It uses it as a source, but crucially, it's not taken this from its generic knowledge that it was trained on, like Mark said. It has knowledge of issue management plans, but it would have been very generic and it wouldn't have been grounded in the specific methodology that I was interested in. So there we go. It's created that. So if I show you another example where I don't ground it. So in here now, when I open this back up, I can see what was used in its settings. So I can see it was overridden and it used these, and it will hold that setting for that element. So not only have I got AI settings at the grid level as a default, but every element in here can have its own settings as well if you wish. So in this one, which is blank, I'm going to do the same thing, but this time I'm going to leave the tone and language, so in the context, so it's got the same base. But here you can see now I've not selected any source grounding, so it's not grounded at all. And we'll see what we get. PM2 bulleted steps. So this is now going to do the same thing without grounding it. And you can see, it's done a perfectly good one, but it's not the same as our steps from our grounded document. It's taken this from its generic model and what it knows about issue management planning from that. As you can see, the inputs are completely different. The number of steps are completely different as well. So we have one that was grounded, which matches our content. And then we have another which was not grounded, which is a more generic attempt at the same thing. But crucially, these sources can be anything you want. It can be your own in-house knowledge, whatever you wish. I'll do another one. If I clone one of these to make a quick copy of it, if I take the issue management one again, and then this time I will select a different template. So I will ground it in what we wanted it to be grounded in. It's got the same tone. And I'll select the tasks as steps instead. And this time, because it knows it's got a task area in here, it will create those steps as tasks instead. So I've grounded it and off it goes. So you can see here, the content area I've given it here for the steps is actually a task area. So it can create tasks as it goes. And it's created the same steps, but it's done it as tasks. It's got the same inputs. So I'll flag this one as this is source grounded. And I've now got content ready to go. So you can see how much it massively accelerates your content development. Once you've created source libraries with your knowledge in, you can create elements very quickly with that knowledge in. When you have created them, it can also use it in the tweaking tool. So say, for instance, if I go back to my original one, perhaps I think this is a bit too long. Wherever you see the AI icon here, I can now tweak that. But crucially, when I'm using the AI assistant at this point to just change the content in here, it is still using the element AI settings and it is still grounded. I could choose to not ground it at this point, but as I'm doing the same thing, I would. And then I can ask it, can you make this section shorter? And it will now remove that section and give me a shorter version. Now I've got a small shorter version. So you can tweak these each time, and each time it's got tone, language, context, and your source grounding on it. I'll do one more. We've got quality management is another option. So each section in here, I mean, I could keep going down this, you know, I could pick sections, but we'll do one more so you can see it. So quality management plan could be another one. I can ground it in that. Quality management plan, AI assisted context. I'm going to override it because I don't want it to use all of those sources. I just want it to use that source. Same tone language, same context. Bulleted steps. Please create it. Please create me a guide to doing a quality management plan from my grounding. And there we go. 14 steps, the different inputs, and this will match what is in here. And that, in a nutshell, is source grounding in MethodGrid.